The front desk clerk smiled as she handed me 2 key cards. Your wife just checked in, Mr. Reed, room 1847. She said you'd be joining her. I stood there holding 2 plastic rectangles in a paper sleeve, and the world went very quiet. My wife's girls' trip, my business conference, Chicago, same hotel, same night. 2 key cards. I teach corporate law at one of the biggest firms in the Midwest. I've negotiated billion-dollar mergers. I've cross-examined witnesses who lied under oath. But in that moment, standing in the lobby of the Fairmont on a Thursday evening in October, I couldn't make my mouth work. The clerk, her name tag said Bethany, tilted her head. Is everything okay, Mr. Reed? I looked down at the paper sleeve, room 1847, embossed in gold foil. The plastic was warm from her hand. I rubbed my thumb over the numbers. They felt raised, permanent, like a scar about to form. My wife, I said slowly. Sarah Reed. When did she check in? Bethany clicked her keyboard. About 40 minutes ago, sir. She had one other guest with her. Would you like me to call up and let her know you've arrived? One other guest. Sarah's girls' trip. 3 days at a spa outside the city. That's what she told me Tuesday morning while packing her monogrammed luggage. Her best friend Monica from college, massages, wine, girl talk. She'd kissed me on the cheek and said, "We need to talk when you get back. We need to talk." I'd been thinking about that sentence for 2 days. No, I told Bethany. Don't call. I'll surprise her. She smiled like that was romantic. Enjoy your stay, Mr. Reed. I walked to the elevator, pressed the button, watched the numbers climb. My reflection in the polished brass doors looked like a stranger. Charcoal suit, blue tie, 42 years old, married for 10, twin daughters Emma and Olivia, 7 years old, birthday last month. Sarah had organized everything, the cake, the decorations, the guest list. The elevator dinged, doors opened, I stepped inside, stood there, finger hovering over button 18, thinking about the last thing Sarah said before I left. We need to talk when you get back. If you've ever felt something was off but ignored your gut, if you've ever wished you'd looked closer, leave a comment that just says, I understand. You're not alone in this. 18th floor. The hallway smelled like expensive carpet and air conditioning. Room 1847 was at the end, around 2 corners. I walked slowly, counted my steps. Lawyer habit. Document everything. 37 steps from elevator to door. I could hear voices inside, muffled. One was Sarah's, laughing. The kind of laugh she used to make when we were dating, light, unguarded. The other voice wasn't Monica's. It was lower, male. I slid the key card into the slot. Green light, quiet click. I turned the handle and opened the door 6 inches. Stopped, listened. Can't believe we got the same room as last time, Sarah was saying. I told the front desk it was our anniversary. They upgraded us. A man laughed. Anniversary of what? Our first time here. 5 years this month. 5 years. I pushed the door open. The room was empty. Luggage by the closet, Sarah's monogram set from our anniversary 3 years ago. A leather duffel I didn't recognize. The bathroom door was closed, shower running. I stood there in the middle of the room. The bed was made, hotel perfect. But there were things on the nightstand, a charging cable, a watch, a bottle of cologne, Armani Code. I picked it up, dark bottle, silver cap. The scent still hung in the air, woody, synthetic, trying too hard. I wear Bleu de Chanel, have for 8 years. Sarah knows the difference. She chose to ignore it. I set the cologne down, looked at the nightstand again. There was a framed photo, silver frame, Tiffany's. Our wedding gift from my grandmother. It was facing down. I picked it up, turned it over. The photo was from last month. Emma and Olivia's birthday party, backyard, balloons, cake. Sarah and someone else in the background, a man, tall, dark hair, holding a glass of wine, smiling at the camera. But the frame, someone had turned it face down on the nightstand, like they couldn't look at it while the shower turned off. I heard Sarah's voice through the door. Can you grab my phone? I think I left it on the bed. I looked at the bed. Her phone was there, lit up. A text notification on the lock screen from Monica, cover story holding up? Miss you, babe. The bathroom door opened. Steam rolled out. Sarah appeared in a hotel robe, hair wet, and froze. For 3 seconds, we just looked at each other. Then a man's voice from the bathroom. Sarah, did you find your... He stepped into view, blue towel around his waist, skin still damp. David Chen, my business partner, 8 years. The man I'd built a practice with from scratch. The godfather to my daughters. The man who'd stood beside me at my father's funeral 3 months ago, hand on my shoulder, and said, "Brothers for life, Marcus. Brothers for life." The same man now standing in a hotel room with my wife. My wife, who was supposed to be at a spa with Monica, in the same hotel as my business conference, 40 minutes after check-in, room 1847. I held up the photo frame. "Anniversary," I said quietly. 5 years. Congratulations." David went pale. Sarah's mouth opened, but nothing came out. I pulled out my phone, started taking pictures. The cologne, the luggage, the photo frame, David in his towel, Sarah in her robe, the room number on the door placard. "Marcus!" Sarah finally found her voice. "Marcus, wait." "Quiet," I said, not loud, not angry, just lawyer. "Don't say anything else, either of you." I took a picture of Sarah's phone screen, Monica's text, the contact name, the timestamp. Then I walked to Sarah's luggage, unzipped it, started going through it methodically. "Marcus, what are you can't just... Community, property, state," I said, pulling out a folded receipt. "Illinois, everything you own is half mine. Funny how that works." The receipt was for jewelry, Tiffany's, 3 weeks ago, diamond earrings, $4,200. I'd never seen those earrings. I kept digging. Found David's business card tucked into Sarah's wallet. Found a second phone, a burner. Opened it, no passcode, text thread with David. Hundreds of messages, years of messages. I scrolled to the first one. December 2019. That was 6 weeks after my father died. I looked up at Sarah. She had tears running down her face now. "Marcus, please, let me explain." "Explain?" I held up the burner phone. "Explain what? That you've been sleeping with my business partner for 5 years? That you couldn't wait 2 months after my father's funeral? That you brought him around my daughters, our daughters, and pretended he was just Uncle David?" David put his hands up. "Marcus, listen. Don't." I pointed at him. "Don't say my name. Don't speak. You were there, at Dad's funeral. You stood next to me and said, 'Brothers for life.'" "Marcus." "Is that what brothers do, David? Sleep with each other's wives? Lie for 5 years? Smile at birthday parties while fucking someone else's family?" The room went quiet except for Sarah's crying. I pulled out my phone, called my assistant, Jennifer. She answered on the second ring. "Marcus, you okay? The conference doesn't start until..." "I need you to do something," I said. My voice sounded strange, calm, distant, like I was talking about someone else's life. "Call Tom Brewster. Tell him I need divorce papers drawn up tonight. Infidelity grounds, full documentation. Tell him I'm about to send him photos." Silence on the line. "Marcus," Jennifer said carefully, "are you sure you want to..." "Also, call Ellen at the firm. Tell her we have a partnership dispute that needs immediate review. Possible fraud. I'll send details within the hour." Another pause. "Okay, I'm on it. Marcus, I'm sorry." I hung up, looked at Sarah, at David. "The front desk gave me your room key," I said. "Both of them, because we have the same last name registered on the reservation. Reed. You used your real name, Sarah. You got sloppy." Sarah was shaking now. "Marcus, please, the girls." "The girls?" I felt something crack open in my chest. "You're going to talk to me about our daughters, the ones you left with my mother so you could come here, the ones who drew pictures in art class last week?" Sarah's face changed. "What pictures?" I reached into my briefcase, Pulled out 2 pieces of construction paper, brought them from home. Couldn't bring myself to leave them. Emma's drawing, me sitting alone at a dinner table, crayon figure in gray and black. But someone, Emma, had drawn a smile on top in bright red, aggressive red, like she was trying to will happiness into existence. At the bottom, in her 7-year-old handwriting, Daddy at DINR, he sad, I draw smile. I held it up so they could see. This, I said quietly, is what your affair looks like to a 7-year-old. She drew me a smile because I don't have one anymore, because even a child can see what you've done to this family. Sarah made a sound like she'd been hit. I pulled out Olivia's drawing, same art class, Sarah and a man holding hands. Not me, someone taller. The label at the bottom, Mommy and Uncle David. And this, I said, is your daughter telling me she knows. Maybe she doesn't understand what she saw, but she saw enough to draw it. David sat down on the edge of the bed, put his head in his hands. So, here's what's going to happen, I said. I'm going to the hotel safe. I'm going to put all this evidence, the photos, the drawings, the receipts, the phones, in a sealed envelope. Then I'm going to my room, my actual room, the one I reserved for the conference, and tomorrow you're both going to receive papers. Divorce for Sarah, partnership dissolution for David, and neither of you will ever come near my daughters again without supervision. Sarah stepped forward. Marcus, you can't. I can, and I will. Because this? I gestured at the room, at them, at the disaster they'd made. This isn't about us anymore. This is about Emma and Olivia, and I will burn down everything, your reputation, his career, our entire lives, before I let them grow up thinking this is what love looks like. I walked to the door, stopped, turned back. One more thing, I said. That photo frame on the nightstand, the one you turned face down so you wouldn't have to look at my daughters while you fucked their godfather? I picked it up. I'm keeping this. Evidence. I left the door open behind me, walked down the hall, 37 steps back to the elevator, pressed the button. My hands started shaking. I looked down at the keycards still in my hand. 2 of them, room 1847. The elevator arrived. I stepped inside alone. That's when I saw it, really saw it. The photo in the silver frame. Not Sarah and David, just the background. Emma and Olivia by the cake, smiling, holding hands, wearing matching dresses, looking at the camera like everything was okay, like their family wasn't a lie. My hands were shaking so hard I nearly dropped the frame. I didn't sleep that night, sat in my actual hotel room, room 923, 9 floors below theirs, with all the evidence spread out on the desk like a prosecutor's case file, which I suppose it was. The burner phone was the worst part, or the best part, depending on how you looked at it. I'd spent 3 hours going through every message, every photo, every lie. December 12th, 2019, first text from David. You looked beautiful tonight. I can't stop thinking about our conversation. That was the firm's Christmas party. I'd been working the Morrison case, 80-hour weeks, barely home. My father had died 6 weeks earlier, heart attack, sudden. I'd been drowning, and I'd let Sarah drown too. But drowning doesn't excuse this. I scrolled further. January 2020, Sarah's text. He fell asleep on the couch again. Girls are asking why Daddy doesn't come to dinner anymore. David's response, you deserve better. You deserve someone who sees you. March 2020, first mention of a hotel. The Fairmont, room 1847. Our room, Sarah had called it in a message from April. I asked for it specifically. They remembered us. 5 years of messages. 5 years of our room. 5 years of he doesn't understand me. And when can we be together and I love you more than anything. Except our daughters, apparently. I found the calendar Sarah kept on the burner phone. Color-coded. Red for Marcus out of town. Blue for girls at grandma's, green for available. There were a lot of green days, I cross-referenced with my own calendar, business trips, court appearances, late nights at the office. Every single time I've been gone, David had been there, including the night of my father's funeral. I'd stayed late at the house, going through Dad's papers with my mother. Sarah said she was too tired, went home early, Green Day. Text from David at 9:47 p.m. On my way. Is he still at his mom's? Sarah's response, yes, hurry. I stared at that message for a long time. My father's funeral. 6 hours after we'd lowered him into the ground, and my phone buzzed. Jennifer. Tom's drafting the papers now, she said. He wants to talk to you about custody. Says with this much evidence, you've got a strong case for primary. Not primary, I said. Full. Silence. Marcus, Illinois courts favor shared custody unless one parent poses a risk to the children's emotional well-being. I have drawings, Jennifer, made by 7-year-olds who can see their father is sad, who've watched their mother lie to them about Uncle David for years. That's psychological harm. Okay, she said carefully. Tom will build that case. What about David, the partnership? I pulled up the financial records I'd been reviewing. I need you to call Marcus Reeves, the forensic accountant we used on the Chen Industries merger. Tell him I need a full audit of our partnership accounts 3 years back. You think David's been... I think a man who lies about everything else lies about money too. I hung up, looked at my watch. 4:47 a.m. In 3 hours, I had to be at the conference, had to give a presentation on fiduciary duty and ethical partnerships. The irony wasn't lost on me. I picked up my phone again, scrolled to the twins' contact, video call. My mother answered. Her face filled the screen, worried. Marcus, it's not even 5 in the morning. I know. Can I see them just for a second? She understood something from my voice, nodded. Carried the phone into the guest room where Emma and Olivia were sleeping. Early morning light through the curtains, 2 small shapes under matching quilts. They're fine, Mom whispered. We made cookies yesterday, played in the yard. They asked about you. My throat closed up. What did they say? Emma asked if you were sad because Grandpa died. I said yes, but you're getting better. Mom's voice was gentle. Marcus, what's wrong? I'll tell you later. Can you keep them for a few more days? I'll pay you back for... Stop. Mom's face got that look, the one that meant she knew. What did Sarah do? I couldn't say it out loud. Not yet. Not with my daughters sleeping 10 feet from the camera. Later, I said, I promise. Just to keep them safe. Always. She looked at the sleeping girls. They're my world, Marcus. You know that. I know. I watched them sleep for another minute. Emma had her arm around a stuffed rabbit. Olivia was curled in a ball, clutching her blanket. 7 years old. Too young to understand betrayal, old enough to draw it. The conference was a blur. I gave my presentation on autopilot. Fiduciary duty in partnership law. 20 slides, 40 minutes, 300 attorneys listening. I talked about trust, about ethical obligations, about what happens when partners violate that trust. The irony still wasn't lost on me. Afterward, Tom Brewster found me in the lobby. He's a divorce attorney, best in the state. We'd gone to law school together. He looked grim. I've got the papers, he said, handing me a folder. But Marcus, we need to talk about something. We sat in a corner booth. He ordered coffee. I hadn't eaten in 24 hours, but couldn't stomach food. I did some preliminary research on David Chen, Tom said. Called a few colleagues. Marcus, this isn't his first time. I looked up. What? David was married before, 10 years ago. Divorced after 3 years. The ex-wife's name is Rachel Chen. I found the filing. Grounds. Adultery. My hands went cold. With who? His business partner's wife. Same pattern. They had a small firm together. David befriended the husband, got close to the family, then systematically seduced the wife. When it came out, the partnership imploded. The husband filed for divorce, lost custody because he had a breakdown, couldn't work, lost everything. Tom slid a document across the table. David walked away clean, got bought out, moved to Chicago, changed firms, and then he met you. I stared at the document. Divorce decree. Rachel Chen versus David Chen. Filed in Michigan, 2014. He's done this before. He has a playbook, Marcus. This is calculated. Something in my chest cracked wider because that meant Sarah wasn't special, wasn't chosen. She was just next in line, a pattern. I need to talk to Rachel, I said. Already arranged it. Tom pulled out his phone. She's willing to speak with you, wants to help. She said, he paused. She said she wishes someone had warned her husband before it was too late. I called Rachel that afternoon from my hotel room. Her voice was tired, older than her years. Mr. Reed, Tom told me what happened. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry, I said. Help me understand. How did he do it? She laughed, but there was no humor in it. The same way he probably did it with your wife. Friendship first. He made my husband feel like they were brothers, best friends, partners in everything. Then he made me feel seen, like I mattered. I thought about Sarah's text. He doesn't understand me. My husband was working all the time, Rachel continued, building the practice. David would stop by, bring wine, ask how I was doing, really listen. And then one night, she stopped. One night it went too far, I finished. Yes, and then it kept going, for 2 years. David made me feel like I was choosing happiness, like my husband was the problem, not us. He had this way of making everything seem justified. I closed my eyes. What happened when your husband found out? He tried to fix it, wanted to forgive me, but David had been stealing from the firm too. Not much, just enough to destabilize things. My husband couldn't prove it, but the clients left. The practice failed. And I was so deep in David's lies that I blamed my husband for everything falling apart. Her voice broke. I lost custody of my son because of the affair. My husband got primary because I chose David over my own child. And then, 6 months after the divorce was final, David left me. Said he needed to find himself. Moved to Chicago. Met someone new. Someone new, I repeated. He's a pattern, Mr. Reed. He finds successful partnerships, destroys them, moves on. I don't know why. Maybe he's broken. Maybe he likes the power. But he will do this again to someone else unless you stop him. I thought about Emma's drawing, about Olivia's picture of Uncle David. I'm going to stop him, I said, but I need your help. Will you testify? Give a deposition? Absolutely, whatever you need. If it keeps him from doing this to another family, another child, I'll do it. After we hung up, I sat there for a long time. Then I called Marcus Reeves, the forensic accountant. I need you to look at something, I said. Partnership accounts, Reed and Chen, LLP, 3 years of transactions. I'm looking for patterns, small withdrawals, moved money, anything that doesn't match our standard operations. You think he's stealing? I think he's done this before, and I think he's careful, but careful people make mistakes when they're distracted. Distracted by what? By sleeping with their partner's wife. Marcus whistled low. I'll start tonight. Give me 48 hours. 48 hours later, Marcus Reeves sent me a 47-page report. I printed it at the hotel business center. Thick paper, black binding clip, the kind accountants use for serious findings. My hands left sweat prints on the cover page. Executive summary. Evidence of systematic misappropriation of client funds totaling $230,000 over 38 months. Funds transferred to offshore account registered to D. Chen Holdings, LLC. Pattern suggests deliberate concealment coinciding with partner travel schedule. I read it twice. David hadn't just stolen my wife. He'd been embezzling from our firm, from our clients, from me. $230,000. And Sarah, I scrolled to page 23. Transaction records showed Sarah's name on 3 wire transfers, co-signer on the account. She wasn't just his affair partner, she was his accomplice. I called Tom. Didn't wait for hello. David's been committing fraud. Sarah helped him hide it. I'm sending you the forensic report now. Jesus, Marcus. File with the Illinois Bar Association. Today. I want his license under review. And add fraud to the divorce petition. Sarah had knowledge and participated. That's a crime. This changes everything, Tom said. With fraud involved, I know. It means she has no leverage, no moral high ground, no claim to sympathy. I looked at the numbers again. $230,000. That's our daughter's college fund. That's Emma's braces. That's Olivia's future. My voice was shaking now. They didn't just betray me. They stole from our children. Tom was quiet for a moment. We need to be careful here. If we go scorched earth is exactly what I want. I want David disbarred. I want Sarah to lose custody. I want everyone to know what they did. Because this isn't about revenge, Tom. This is about making sure they never do this to anyone else. Then we'll need witnesses, character testimony, people who can speak to David's pattern. I've got Rachel, and I'll find more. I pulled up the partnership records, client list, former employees. David's been at 3 firms in 10 years. That's a lot of bridges burned. People talk. Okay, I'll start depositions. But Marcus, are you sure? Once we file fraud charges, there's no going back. Sarah could face criminal prosecution. I thought about Emma's drawing, the smile she'd tried to give me, the red crayon, thick and desperate. She made her choice, I said. 5 years ago, at my father's funeral, every day since, she chose this. I hung up, looked at the forensic report again. Page after page of evidence. Numbers don't lie. They don't make excuses. They don't say, you were working too much or you didn't understand me. They just show the truth. $230,000 stolen over 3 years. While I was building a future for my family, David and Sarah were dismantling it. Here's a question for you. If you found out someone you trusted had been lying to your kids, not just to you, but to your children, how far would you go to protect them? Comment boundaries if you'd fight for custody. Comment forgiveness if you'd try to reconcile for the kids' sake. There's no right answer, but there's an answer that protects innocence. The next morning, I got a call from an unknown number. Is this Marcus Reed? Yes. Who's this? My name is Andrew Morrison. I think we need to talk. I heard you're dealing with David Chen. Morrison. The name sounded familiar. I worked with David at Preston and Hall. Andrew continued. 5 years ago, before he left to start your firm. Mr. Reed, he did this to me too. My stomach dropped. Did what? My wife, Victoria. They had an affair for 18 months. I found out when I caught them at a restaurant. David was supposed to be at a client dinner. Victoria was supposed to be at book club. His voice was flat, rehearsed, like he'd told this story too many times. He destroyed my marriage, and he'd been stealing from our joint cases too. Small amounts. Enough that I couldn't prove it, but enough that clients noticed and left. Another one. How many? I asked. How many times has he done this? I know of 3. Me, Rachel Chen's husband, Daniel, and a guy named Peter Walsh. He worked with David in Michigan before Rachel. Same pattern every time. Partner, friend, affair, fraud, disappear. 3. At least 3 families. Why didn't anyone stop him? Andrew laughed bitterly. Because he's careful. The fraud is always small enough that it looks like accounting errors. The affairs are always mutual, so the wives share the blame. And by the time anyone pieces it together, he's gone. New city, new firm, new victim. Not this time. I said, no. This time we have evidence. This time I'm a lawyer who knows how to build a case. And this time, Andrew, I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly what David Chen does to families. Silence on the line. Then, count me in. Whatever you need. Testimony, documents, whatever it takes. I added Andrew to my list. Rachel, Daniel, Peter, 4 families, 4 men who'd trusted David, 4 wives he'd seduced. How many children affected? I pulled out my phone, started a group text to Tom and Jennifer. We need to file a class action, pattern of fraud, multiple victims. I want every former partner, every affected client, every person David Chen has ever stolen from in one lawsuit. Jennifer responded first. That's going to be loud, Marcus, public. Are you ready for that? I looked at the forensic report, at Emma's drawing, at the text from Sarah's burner phone. He fell asleep on the couch again. I'm ready. Because Rachel had been right. This wasn't just about me. It was about the next family, the next partner, the next 7-year-old drawing pictures of her sad father. David Chen had a playbook, and I was going to burn it. That night, I called my sister Claire. She's a therapist, specializes in family trauma. If anyone could help me figure out how to tell Emma and Olivia, it was her. She answered on the first ring. Mom told me, Marcus, I'm so sorry. Don't be sorry. Help me. What do you need? The girls. They know something's wrong. Emma drew me with a fake smile. Olivia drew Sarah and David holding hands. They're 7, Claire. How do I explain that their mother, that their godfather? I couldn't finish. You don't, Claire said gently. Not yet. Not all of it. Right now, you focus on stability, on being present, on showing them that Daddy is okay, that Daddy is here. But they'll ask questions when Sarah doesn't come home, when David stops coming to Sunday dinners. And you'll answer honestly in age-appropriate ways. Mommy and Daddy are taking some time apart. Uncle David won't be visiting anymore, but you are safe. You are loved. Nothing about this is your fault. I closed my eyes. Emma thinks I'm sad because of Grandpa. She's not wrong, but it's everything. You're grieving your father, your marriage, your friendship, your trust. Marcus, you're allowed to be sad. The girls can handle seeing you sad if you're honest about it. I don't want them to see me break. They won't, because you're not breaking. You're being broken at. There's a difference, and rebuilding from that, that's the strongest thing you can show them. I thought about that. Being broken at versus breaking. Will they hate me for the divorce? No. Kids are resilient. What they can't handle is lies. As long as you're truthful, as much as they can understand, they'll be okay. She paused. Marcus, are you okay? No. Good, that's honest. Now, what do you need, really need? I need Sarah to never hurt them again. I need David to face consequences. I stopped. I need to not be too busy for smiles anymore. Claire's voice softened. Then start there. When this is over, when the legal stuff is settled, start there. Be present. That's what they need. Not a perfect father, just a present one. Too busy for smiles. Emma's words, Sarah's accusation, the truth I'd been avoiding. I'm going to fix this, I said. I know you will. And Marcus, I'm here for you and the girls, whatever you need. After we hung up, I opened my laptop, drafted an email to my managing partners at the firm. Subject, partnership dissolution. Immediate action required. I attached the forensic report, Rachel's deposition, Andrew's statement, the timeline of David's pattern. Then I wrote, David Chen has systematically defrauded our firm, our clients, and his partners for 3 years. This is not an isolated incident. This is a pattern spanning a decade and multiple firms. I am requesting immediate termination of his partnership, a full audit of all cases he has touched, and cooperation with Illinois Bar Association investigation. Additionally, I am filing for divorce from Sarah Reed on grounds of adultery and fraud. She participated in concealing David's financial crimes. Effective immediately, I am taking personal leave to protect my daughters from further harm. I will return when custody is secured and the partnership is dissolved. Our firm's reputation depends on swift, decisive action. I trust you will do what is right. Marcus Reed, JD. I read it twice, then hit send. 3:47 a.m. My phone buzzed immediately. Jennifer. I saw the email. Marcus, are you sure this is your career? My career's fine. My reputation is intact. David's isn't. The managing partners are going to have questions. They can read the report, 47 pages. All the answers are there. I hung up, lay back on the hotel bed, stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow I'd file the papers. Divorce, fraud, custody. Tomorrow this would become public. Tomorrow Emma and Olivia would start learning what Uncle David really was. But tonight I was just a man who'd been handed the wrong key card, who'd opened the wrong door, who'd found out his entire life was a room number away from the truth. Room 1847. Some numbers just stay with you. The divorce petition was filed on Monday, fraud charges on Tuesday. By Wednesday, the firm had called an emergency partners meeting. I sat at the head of the conference table, the same table where David and I had celebrated our first $1 million case, where we'd toasted with champagne and talked about building something that mattered. Now I was here to destroy him. The managing partners, Richard, Susan, and James, had the forensic report spread out in front of them, 47 pages, yellow highlights everywhere. This is damning, Richard said quietly. He was 63, had been practicing law for 40 years. Marcus, if even half of this is accurate, it's all accurate. Marcus Reeves doesn't make mistakes. And I have witness testimony from 3 other victims. David's done this before, multiple times. Susan looked up. 3 other victims? 3 other partnerships, 3 other affairs, 3 other men who trusted him and lost everything. I slid Rachel's deposition across the table. This is Rachel Chen, David's ex-wife. She'll testify that he had an affair with his business partner's wife in Michigan, that he embezzled from that firm too, that when it all came out, the husband had a breakdown and lost custody of his son. James picked up the deposition. Read it. His face went gray. Jesus Christ. There's more. I pulled out Andrew Morrison's statement, Peter Walsh's statement, Daniel Chen's statement. 4 firms, 4 partnerships destroyed. 12 years of this pattern, and we're the latest. Richard leaned back in his chair. What do you want, Marcus? I want David's partnership stake. I want his name removed from the door. I want every client he's touched to be notified. And I want him reported to the Illinois Bar Association with our full cooperation. That's a scorched earth approach, Susan said. If we do this publicly, then we protect future victims. If we bury this, if we let him resign quietly and move to another city, he'll do it again. To another firm, another partner, another family with 7-year-old twins who draw pictures of their sad father. I pulled out Emma's drawing, set it on the table. This is my daughter. She's 7. She drew me with a smile because I didn't have one anymore, because she could see what David and Sarah did to our family. And she's not the only child he's hurt. Daniel Chen's son was 5 when he lost primary custody. Peter Walsh's daughter was 9 when her parents divorced. Andrew Morrison's kids, 2 teenagers, watched their father have a breakdown. I looked at each partner. How many more children before we say enough? Silence. Then Richard, we'll vote. But Marcus, if we do this, if we go public, it's going to get ugly. David will fight back. Sarah will fight back. Are you prepared for that? I thought about the key cards in my pocket. I'd kept them. Room 1847, a reminder. I'm a lawyer, I said. I know how to fight, and this time I'm fighting for something that actually matters. The vote was unanimous. David Chen was terminated effective immediately. The custody hearing was 3 weeks later. Cook County Courthouse, Family Division, Judge Patricia Morrison presiding. No relation to Andrew, but I took it as a good sign anyway. Sarah sat across the aisle with her attorney, a man named Robert Kendrick, who specialized in making cheating spouses look sympathetic. He was expensive. I wondered if David was paying for him. Sarah looked different, thinner, hair pulled back, conservative dress. the costume of a reformed wife, a concerned mother, but I had evidence. Tom stood beside me. Remember, stay calm. Let the evidence do the work. Don't react to anything Kendrick says. The judge entered. We all stood. Be seated. We're here for the matter of Reed versus Reed. Custody determination for minor children Emma Reed and Olivia Reed, age 7. Mr. Brewster, you're representing the petitioner? Tom stood. Yes, Your Honor. Marcus Reed is seeking primary physical custody with supervised visitation for Mrs. Reed. Supervised? The judge looked at Sarah. That's a serious request. What's the basis? Multiple factors, Your Honor. We'll be presenting evidence of adultery, fraud, pattern of deception, and emotional harm to the children. Kendrick stood. Your Honor, Mrs. Reed admits to marital mistakes, but she's a devoted mother. The children need both parents. Supervised visitation is extreme, and... I'll hear the evidence, Judge Morrison interrupted. Mr. Brewster, proceed. Tom called me to the stand first, walked me through the discovery, the hotel, the keycards, the 5-year affair, the forensic accounting report, David's pattern with other families. Then he asked the question I'd been dreading. Mr. Reed, how have the children been affected by this situation? I pulled out the drawings. Emma and Olivia are 7 years old. 3 weeks ago, they did these in art class at school. I handed them to the bailiff. These are now marked as Exhibits F and G. The judge took them, studied Emma's drawing first. The gray and black figure, the red smile drawn on top. She read the caption aloud. Daddy at DINR, he's sad, I draw smile. Then Olivia's drawing, Sarah and David holding hands. Mommy and Uncle David, the judge read. She looked at Sarah. Mrs. Reed, this is your daughter's drawing of you with Mr. Chen? Sarah's face crumpled. Your Honor, the children didn't see anything inappropriate. They saw enough to draw it. Judge Morrison held up the picture. A 7-year-old drew you holding hands with a man who is not her father, at what appears to be a birthday party based on the balloons and cake in the background. She looked at me. Mr. Reed, when was this drawn? October 15th, 4 days after Emma and Olivia's 7th birthday party, which David Chen attended, as he had attended every birthday, every holiday, every family event for 5 years, as their godfather. The courtroom was quiet. Judge Morrison set the drawings down carefully. Continue, Mr. Brewster. Tom called Claire next, my sister, the therapist. She testified about childhood trauma, about what happens when children lose trust in their primary caregivers, about the long-term effects of discovering that the adults in their lives have been lying. The drawings are significant, Claire said. Emma is trying to fix her father's sadness by literally drawing a smile on top. That's a child taking responsibility for an adult's emotional state. It's a form of parentification, when a child feels they need to care for the parent instead of the other way around. And the second drawing? Tom asked. Olivia is trying to make sense of what she's observed. Children are incredibly perceptive. They notice changes in behavior, emotional distance, secret phone calls. This drawing suggests she's seen her mother and Mr. Chen in situations that confused her. The fact that she labeled him Uncle David shows she knows the relationship is supposed to be familial, but the hand-holding suggests something different. In your professional opinion, what do these children need? Stability, consistency, a primary caregiver who prioritizes their emotional safety above their own desires, and boundaries, clear enforced boundaries about who has access to these children and under what circumstances. Kendrick cross-examined. Tried to suggest I'd coached the children. Tried to suggest Claire was biased. But the drawings spoke for themselves. Then Tom called Rachel Chen. She testified about David's pattern, about how he'd destroyed her marriage to Daniel, about losing custody of her son, about the embezzlement. He has a playbook, Rachel said. First he befriends the husband, becomes indispensable, Then he seduces the wife, makes her feel special, seen, and while everyone's distracted by the affair, he steals money, clients, trust, everything. And when you discovered the truth, I was so deep in his lies that I blamed my husband. I chose David, and I lost my son because of it. Her voice broke. I haven't had primary custody in 8 years. My son barely speaks to me because I chose an affair over his stability. She looked at Sarah. Don't make my mistake. Kendrick put Sarah on the stand. She cried, apologized, said she'd been lonely, that I'd been working too much, that she never meant to hurt the children. I love my daughters, she said. I made terrible mistakes, but I'm still their mother. They need me. Tom's cross-examination was surgical. Mrs. Reed, you testified that you never meant to hurt your children. Is that correct? Yes. But you conducted a 5-year affair with their godfather, correct? Yes, but you brought Mr. Chen to family events, birthdays, holidays, school functions, while lying to your daughters about the nature of your relationship. I didn't lie. You didn't tell the truth, which is a lie of omission. Tom pulled out the burner phone. This is your second phone, correct? The one you used to coordinate meetings with Mr. Chen? Sarah nodded miserably. How many text messages are on this phone, Mrs. Reed? I don't know. 4,732 over 5 years. That's approximately 3 messages per day, every day for 5 years, while your daughters were in the next room, while your husband was working to support your family, while you were actively deceiving everyone who trusted you. Kendrick objected, badgering the witness. Sustained. Move on, Mr. Brewster. Tom pulled out the forensic report. Mrs. Reed, did you sign wire transfer authorizations for your husband's firm accounts? Sarah went pale. I don't remember. Your name appears on 3 wire transfers totaling $83,000. Transfers to an offshore account owned by David Chen. Did you authorize those transfers? Silence. Mrs. Reed, did you knowingly participate in embezzling money from your husband's clients? I didn't know it was embezzlement. David said it was legitimate business expenses. But you knew the money wasn't going to legitimate business accounts. I trusted him. You trusted him. The same man you were having an affair with. The same man who was stealing from your husband. You trusted him more than you trusted the father of your children. Sarah was crying now. I made mistakes, I know I did, but I love my girls. I would never hurt them intentionally. Tom picked up Emma's drawing. Your daughter drew her father alone, sad, with a fake smile. She's 7 years old and she can see what you did to her family. That's not unintentional harm, Mrs. Reed. That's direct consequence. If this story is hitting close to home, if you or someone you know has been targeted by someone with a playbook like David's, just leave "I understand" in the comments. Sometimes the most powerful thing is knowing you're not the only one. That's how patterns get stopped, when we share the truth. The judge took a recess, 2 hours. Tom and I sat in a conference room down the hall. Didn't talk, just waited. When we returned, Judge Morrison had her decision. I've reviewed all the evidence, the testimony, the drawings, the financial records. She looked at both of us. This is not a simple custody case. This is a case about judgment, about priorities, about what we model for our children. She turned to Sarah. Mrs. Reed, I believe you love your daughters, but love is not enough. Good parenting requires judgment, sacrifice, the ability to put your children's needs above your own desires. For 5 years, you prioritized an affair over your family's stability. You lied to your children. You participated, knowingly or not, in fraud that directly harmed their financial future. And most significantly, your children have documented the emotional harm through their own artwork. Judge Morrison held up Emma's drawing. This child drew her father a smile because he didn't have one anymore. That is a child trying to fix what you broke. That is emotional harm. She set the drawing down. Custody is awarded to Marcus Reed. Mrs. Reed will have supervised visitation twice per week, 3 hours per session. Supervision will continue until a court-appointed psychologist determines that you have addressed the underlying issues that led to this situation. Additionally, you are prohibited from introducing any romantic partners to the children without prior court approval and Mr. Reed's consent. Sarah made a sound like she'd been hit. Furthermore, the judge continued, David Chen is prohibited from any contact with the minor children. No visits, no calls, no gifts. If he attempts contact, Mrs. Reed, you will report it immediately or risk losing visitation entirely. She looked at me. Mr. Reed, I'm granting you primary physical and legal custody because I believe you have demonstrated the judgment necessary to protect these children. But I'm also ordering family therapy for you and the girls because healing from this will take work. She banged the gavel. Court is adjourned. Tom shook my hand. That's the best outcome we could have hoped for. But I didn't feel victorious. I felt hollow because I'd just taken Emma and Olivia's mother away from them. Even if it was necessary, even if it was right, it still hurt. The firm's reckoning came next. David's clients were notified. Most left, some sued. The firm settled quietly, paid restitution from David's partnership stake. The Illinois Bar Association opened a formal investigation. With Rachel's testimony, Andrew's testimony, and the forensic evidence, David's license was suspended pending a full hearing. He'd never practice law again. 2 weeks after the custody hearing, the managing partners called me back to the office. Richard slid a document across the table. David's partnership buyout. $4.2 million. His client list, his office, his parking spot, everything. Richard looked tired. You earned this, Marcus. You saved the firm. You exposed a fraud. This is yours. I looked at the number. $4.2 million. College for Emma and Olivia. Paid in full. Security. Stability. But it was David's money. David's career. David's life. I don't want it, I said. Richard blinked. What? I don't want his money. I want his name removed from the door. I want a public statement about why he was terminated, and I want his partnership stake donated to a fund for children of divorced parents. Kids like Emma and Olivia who are dealing with the fallout of adult mistakes. Susan leaned forward. Marcus, that's $4.2 million you're walking away from. I know, but if I take his money, I'm just like him, taking something that isn't mine. I stood up. I don't want to win by becoming what I hate. I want to win by being better. James nodded slowly. The Reed Foundation, for children of divorce. We can set it up through the firm, pro bono legal services for custody cases, therapy, educational support. Yes, I said, something good from all this. Richard smiled for the first time in weeks. You're a better man than most, Marcus. No, I'm just a father who doesn't want other kids to go through what mine did. Three weeks later, I received a letter, hand-delivered by Sarah's attorney. 8 pages, cream stationery, her handwriting. I sat in my therapist's office to read it, Dr. Ellen Garcia. She'd been helping me process everything, the betrayal, the anger, the grief. Do you want me to read it with you? She asked. Yes. I opened the envelope. The paper was thick, expensive. Some words were crossed out and rewritten. On page 3, there was a tear stain that had made the ink bleed, real or performed. With Sarah, I couldn't tell anymore. I read aloud. Marcus, I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even expect you to read this, but I need to say it anyway. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the affair, for the lies, for putting my desires above our family, for every moment I chose David over you, over Emma and Olivia. Page 2. You were right when you said I was too busy blaming you for working too much. The truth is, I was lonely. But being lonely doesn't excuse what I did. Nothing excuses what I did. I betrayed you. I betrayed our daughters. I betrayed the life we built. Page 3. The tear stain. I've started therapy, real therapy, not just to look good for court. Dr. Mendez says I have codependency issues, that I seek validation from men instead of finding it in myself. She says I need to learn who I am without someone else defining me. I'm trying, Marcus. I'm trying to become someone worthy of being Emma and Olivia's mother again. Page 6. I know I can't undo what I did. I know I hurt you in ways that can't be fixed. But I'm still the twins' mother. They need me, not the version of me that lied and cheated, but the version I'm trying to become, someone honest, someone who takes responsibility, someone who puts them first, always. Page 8. Tell the girls I love them. Tell them Mommy made mistakes but never stopped loving them. And Marcus, I'm sorry for all of it, for not being the partner you deserved, the mother they deserved. I'll spend the rest of my life trying to do better, even if you never forgive me, even if they never forgive me. I have to try. Sarah. I folded the letter, sat there for a long time. Dr. Garcia waited. She's trying, I finally said. She's actually trying to change. Does that change how you feel? No, because trying isn't the same as succeeding. And even if she succeeds, even if she becomes a better person, it doesn't erase the 5 years. It doesn't give Emma and Olivia their innocence back. What are you going to do with the letter? I looked at it. 8 pages, cream stationery, tear stains. I'm going to file it with the rest of the evidence because someday when the girls are older and they ask what happened, when they want to understand why their family broke apart, I want them to see all of it. My pain, Sarah's regret, David's pattern, everything. That's fair, Dr. Garcia said. Is it? I looked at her. I told Sarah no reconciliation, no shared custody beyond supervised visits, no second chances. The girls need her, they do, but they need the boundaries more. They need to know that actions have consequences, that love isn't permission to hurt people. And you need that too. Yes, I need it too. I put the letter back in the envelope. Tell them Mommy loves them. She asked me to tell them, but I can't, because love is a verb, not a feeling, and she hasn't loved them with her actions, not for 5 years. Dr. Garcia nodded. That's a hard truth. But it's the truth, and I'm done with lies. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Sometimes protecting the people you love means saying no to the people they love. That's not cruelty. That's boundaries. If you've ever had to make that choice, if you've ever been called cold or unforgiving for protecting innocence, comment worth it. Because some decisions aren't about being understood. They're about being right. Six months passed. The divorce was finalized. Sarah got supervised visitation. She came twice a week, 3 hours each time. Slowly, carefully, she started rebuilding trust with Emma and Olivia. David moved to California, tried to start over, but Rachel had been right. The pattern followed him. Word spread in legal circles. His reputation was destroyed. And me? I took a leave from the firm. 3 months, spent it with Emma and Olivia. We went to the park, made breakfast together, did homework at the kitchen table. I taught them how to ride bikes without training wheels. We planted a garden, and I smiled. Real smiles, not the kind Emma had to draw on top. One Saturday afternoon, Olivia came running into my office, the home office, not the firm, with a piece of paper. "Daddy, I made a new drawing." She held it up. Construction paper, crayons in every color. Me, Emma, Olivia, my mother, Claire. At the park, under a yellow sun, pink flowers, everyone smiling. "This is us," Olivia said proudly. "Our family." I looked at the drawing. 5 people, not a couple. A family. She'd drawn my smile in orange, like sunshine, and this time it reached my eyes. "It's perfect, baby. I said, pulling her close. You're smiling in this one, she observed. A real smile. Because I'm not too busy anymore, I said. Not for the smiles that matter. Emma appeared in the doorway. What are we looking at? Olivia's drawing, I said. Come see. She climbed into my lap, studied the picture. That's better than mine, she said quietly. I knew what she meant. The drawing from October. Me alone, with the fake smile. Hey, I said gently. Come with me. I want to show you something. I led both girls to my office wall. I'd framed two drawings side by side. On the left, Emma's original, the gray and black figure, the red smile. On the right, Olivia's new one. Bright colors, real smiles, found family. This is where we were, I said, pointing to the left. And this is where we are. I pointed to the right. Both of these are important because this one, I touched Emma's drawing, shows how much you loved me. Even when I was sad, you tried to give me a smile. Emma's eyes filled with tears. I wanted you to be happy. I know, baby, and that drawing, it helped me understand that I needed to change, to be here more, to be present. I knelt down to their level, and this one, I touched Olivia's drawing, shows that we did it. We built something new, something real. Is Mommy going to be in our family again? Emma asked, the question I'd been dreading. Mommy loves you both very much, I said carefully, and you'll keep seeing her, but our family looks different now. It's me and you two and Grandma and Aunt Claire, and that's okay. Families come in all shapes. What about Uncle David? Olivia asked. Uncle David won't be visiting anymore, I said. He made choices that hurt our family, but that's not your fault. None of this is your fault. Emma leaned her head against my shoulder. I like our new family. Me too, baby. Me too. Marcus's story is about found family, about the people who stayed when everything fell apart. I want to hear yours. Who's your found family? Drop their name in the comments, tag them if they're watching. Tell us how they showed up when it mattered. Let's celebrate the people who choose us back. That night, after the girls were asleep, I sat in the living room with my mother and Claire. We'd started having dinner together every Sunday, the five of us, found family. How are you really doing? Mom asked. Better, I said, and I meant it. Not perfect, not healed, but better. The girls are thriving, Claire observed. Emma's therapist says she's processing everything in healthy ways. And Olivia, that drawing today was huge. She's integrating the new family structure. What about you? Mom asked. Are you integrating? I thought about that. About room 1847. About the key cards I'd finally thrown away last month. About Sarah's letter, filed in a box marked evidence. I'm learning, I said. Learning that I don't have to forgive to move forward. Learning that boundaries aren't cruelty. Learning that some people don't deserve access to my life, no matter how much history we have. That's wisdom, Mom said softly. It's survival, I corrected, for me and the girls. We're surviving, and someday, maybe, we'll be thriving like Claire says. You already are, Claire said. You just can't see it yet because you're still in it. Maybe she was right. Maybe we were already thriving. Me and Emma and Olivia and Mom and Claire, 5 people who chose each other, found family. A year later, I ran into David at a legal conference in New York. He saw me first, tried to duck into a side corridor, but I'd already seen him. I could have ignored him, could have walked past. But something made me stop. David, he turned, looked older, tired. His suit didn't fit as well as it used to. Marcus. He wouldn't meet my eyes. I didn't know you'd be here. It's a national conference. We're both lawyers. I paused. Well, I'm still a lawyer. His jaw tightened. I got my license back, provisional, 2 years supervised practice. Congratulations. Silence. How are the girls? He asked quietly. You don't get to ask that. I know. I think about them sometimes, Emma and Olivia. I was their godfather. You were a lot of things. Godfather was just the lie we told them. He flinched. Marcus, I'm sorry for all of it. I know sorry doesn't fix anything, but you're right, it doesn't. I looked at him, really looked at him. You had a playbook, David, Rachel, Daniel, Andrew, me. How many others? I'm in therapy, he said, real therapy, trying to understand why I don't care why. I care that you did it, that you made a choice. Every day for 5 years, you chose to lie, to steal, to destroy. I know. Do you? Because you're here at a conference, networking, trying to rebuild your career, but the families you destroyed were still dealing with the consequences. Emma still asks why Uncle David doesn't visit. Olivia still draws pictures of our new family and leaves out the people who left. That's your legacy. David's eyes were red. What do you want me to say? Nothing. I don't want anything from you. I just want you to understand that actions have consequences, that you can't charm your way out of what you did, that somewhere right now there's another partner wondering if he can trust his business associate, another wife feeling lonely, another 7-year-old drawing her father with a fake smile, and you're the reason they have to wonder, because you proved that people like you exist. I turned to walk away, then stopped. One more thing, I said. I took your partnership stake, $4.2 million, created a foundation with it, the Reed Foundation. We provide legal services and therapy for children of divorce. Pro bono, all of it. David stared. So thank you, I said, for finally contributing something meaningful to the world, even if it took destroying my family to get there. I walked away, didn't look back, because some people don't deserve the space they once occupied in your life. And holding on to anger just gives them rent-free real estate in your head. I was done being David's victim. I was done being anyone's victim. I was just Marcus Reed, father of 2, lawyer, survivor. And that was enough. 2 months ago, Emma came home from school with another drawing. She walked into the kitchen where I was making dinner, spaghetti, their favorite, and held it out silently. I wiped my hands, took the paper. It was me, just me. But this time I wasn't alone at a table. I was in the kitchen wearing an apron, holding a wooden spoon, and I was smiling. A real smile. Orange crayon, sunshine. The caption read, "My dad. He cooks now. He smiles. I don't have to draw it anymore." I couldn't speak. Emma hugged me. "I love you, Daddy." "I love you too, baby." That night, I framed that drawing, put it between the other 2 on my office wall. 3 drawings, 3 stages, before, during, after. A visual timeline of survival, of healing, of learning to be present instead of perfect. People ask me sometimes if I regret how I handled everything, if I was too harsh, too unforgiving, if I should have tried to make it work with Sarah for the girl's sake. And I tell them no, because Emma's drawings tell a different story. In the first one, she had to draw me a smile because I didn't have one. In the last one, she didn't have to draw it anymore because I finally learned to make one myself. That's not about Sarah. That's not about David. That's not about forgiveness or reconciliation. That's about choice. I chose to be present, to be honest. To show my daughters that boundaries aren't cruelty, they're self-respect, and they're learning. Emma told me last week that a girl in her class said mean things about her family, about the divorce, about having a broken home. And Emma said, "My home's not broken. It's different, but it's not broken. My daddy makes sure of that." She's 9 now, growing up, understanding more. But she knows this: her father chose her, chose boundaries, chose presence. And in our house, the chairs at the dinner table are never empty. If this story made you feel something, anger, validation, hope, anything, hit that subscribe button. We tell stories about people who fight for what matters, who draw boundaries when it hurts, and who rebuild when everything's broken. You're not just watching stories here, you're part of a community that believes actions have consequences. And so does courage. Last night, I was putting the girls to bed. 9 years old now, 4th grade, growing so fast it hurts. Emma asked me, "Daddy, do you think Mommy's happy?" Loaded question. Sarah has them every other weekend now, unsupervised. She earned it, did the therapy, made changes, showed up consistently. "I think she's trying to be," I said. "Why?" "Because she seems sad when she drops us off, like she wishes she could stay." "I'm sure she does wish that. Do you wish it?" "No, baby. I wish she'd made different choices 5 years ago, but she didn't, and now we all have to live with the life we've built from those choices." Olivia piped up from the other bed. "I like our life, Daddy." "Yeah? Yeah. We have Sunday dinners with Grandma and Aunt Claire, and you come to all our soccer games, and we make pancakes on Saturday mornings, and you smile now, real smiles." Emma nodded. "You're not too busy for smiles anymore." Those words, her words from 3 years ago, thrown at me by Sarah during the affair, repeated by Emma in innocence, now reclaimed. "No," I said, tucking them in. "I'm not too busy for smiles anymore, not for the ones that matter, not ever again." I kissed their foreheads, turned off the light, stood in the doorway for a moment, watching them settle in. 2 9-year-old girls who'd survived their parents' divorce, who'd learned about betrayal and boundaries and consequences, who'd learned that family isn't who you're born to, it's who stays. "Daddy," Emma's voice in the dark. "Yeah, baby?" "Can we frame my new drawing, the one where you're cooking?" "Already did. It's on the wall in my office, right next to the old ones." "All 3? "All 3. Because they tell our story, where we were, where we are, where we're going." "Where are we going, Daddy?" I smiled in the darkness. "Forward, baby. We're going forward.